I also want to thank Payne's Restaurant for this space and for the delicious food. I also want to acknowledge our election committee members, which includes Chuck Sorbet, Ed Twees, Larry Slonaker, Julie Morris, Carmo de Berto, Mo Ismail, Jenny Mendola Arbizu, Leslie David, and Rohit Sharma for all the time and work they put into this event. Our hosts for this evening are Julie Morris and Larry Slonaker. Julie is the co-founder of BenitoLink and has been a journalist for 15 years. In 2022, she was appointed agricultural liaison for Santa Clara County, and she is also the author of the novel Exit Strategy. Larry was an editor and reporter at the San Jose Mercury News for over 20 years, and he is the author of the recently published novel, Nothing Got Broke. At this time, I would like to hand this off to Julie and Larry. Thank you.
Welcoming our first group of panelists today, I'll be introducing them. We'll start with Mindy Sotelo, Chair of the San Benito County Board of Supervisors. Mindy was elected as San Benito County Board of Supervisor District 3 rep in 2022 and elected as board chair in 2023. Supervisor Sotelo served as the executive director of the San Benito County Farm Bureau for 15 years. We also have Hollister Mayor Mia Casey. She was elected as Hollister Mayor in November of 2022 for a 2-year term. Among her previous experiences, she worked in the president's office at Foothill Community College in Los Altos Hills, where her responsibilities included contracts and legal issues. And third is San Juan Bautista Mayor Leslie Jordan. She was first elected to the City Council in 2018 and has served as a mayor for the past 2 years. She was reelected in 2022 to a second 4-year term. She is also a water resources specialist. All right, so we welcome the three of you. Our plan this evening before we start with questions was to give an opportunity for the three of them to make a brief statement, and we sort of left it open as to what they wanted to talk about, something about obviously their function in their elected capacity, challenges, accomplishments of the past year, whatever, as long as they can fit it into a 3-minute window. So we'll start in the order of the introduction, which is with Supervisor Sotelo.
Do we turn this on, or is it already on? Okay. Lucky me, I get to go first. So there's a little bit of a surprise for this evening, the format. So I don't have anything prepared, so I'm going to go off of the fly. So first of all, it's an honor to be here and to see the room so packed and see such, you're passionate about this community as I am. I'm a 5th generation, born and raised here, and I just have a real love. I am newly on the board. I was sworn in January and took office, so there's lots to learn. It's one of the most amazing experiences that I've had in my life, but I will also say it's one of the most challenging things I've ever done. And so learning every single day, very open to opportunities, relationships. One of the things that I think I have valued so much over this year is the relationships and getting to know so many of you in this community, having amazing relationships with both of these mayors on both of my sides. We get together about once a month and just talk about things. And sometimes it's about things that are going on in our community. Other times it's just to vent, right? It's just, this is a hard job, and we're all moms, and it's this juggling act. And so we have a strong desire to serve this community, we want to be great representatives for you, or I do. I should not speak as a we, but as a I. And I think I can speak as a we for the Board of Supervisors. I'm here not as myself as an individual, but I'm here on behalf of the Board of Supervisors. And I will tell you, every single one of your Board of Supervisors is very dedicated. They care tremendously about this community. We don't always agree on everything, but there is a deep respect for one another. And I'm really, really proud of that. I think that's one of the things that got me to run for the Board of Supervisors is I wanted to increase the professionalism here. I wanted there to be respect for the people in office, and I really wanted to increase the kind of the expectations in this community. We deserve the best. And I'm tired of making exceptions for that. And so I love this community, and I look forward to speaking with you all tonight. I look forward to your questions. Please be nice. And but I really do, I felt there is no an agenda for me. It is really about serving this community, and it's about making progress together. So thank you for having me this evening.
Thank you, Supervisor. Now we'll go on to Mayor Casey for any statements you care to make.
Thank you. Well, see, I thought I was supposed to give a State of the City report, so I wrote a few points down, and I'll try to go through them quickly. It's hard to believe it's been almost a year since I was sworn in. I don't know if you know this, but there is no manual on how to be a mayor. It's been a bit of a trial by fire. A week after I took office, the hospital crisis erupted. And then a few weeks after that, we had severe winter storms and there was flooding all over San Benito. So I'm sure many of you have also seen and heard some of our unfortunate behavior at council meetings and challenges to our code of ethics and conduct. But you know what? This has only strengthened my resolve to keep working towards positive change and away from the division that has plagued our city over the past decade. We've got a lot of really exciting things happening at City Hall. We've got a wonderful new city manager, David Marioni, who has been really busy bringing on new department heads and staff. I'm really pleased to report that we are swearing in 4 new police officers this month, and we have 5 new firefighters. Yeah, it's awesome. We've had a real focus on improving policy and procedure and reviewing city ordinances that are out of date. And just getting the city functioning more efficiently and effective is really crucial, but we're making progress. So I wanted to talk about, our main focus this year has really been on improving infrastructure. So we purchased Excella software to increase department efficiency, and it's also going to make it easier for all of you to obtain online services. We got a technical assistance grant of $500,000 that's going to fund design for broadband infrastructure in Hollister. We secured $3.3 million in grants for the airport taxiway improvements and also hired a new airport director just last week, I think. On our roadways, we received a grant of over $1 million for Safe Street School Study. We've got a slurry seal project that's been approved, and it's going to reseal, I think, about 40 different sections of roadway. And we also have a capital improvements plan coming up for road repaving, ADA sidewalk compliance, and repair and repaving 3 of our oldest alleyways in the downtown area. We purchased a new building at 190 Maple Street that's going to serve as a one-stop shop for residents to get city services. And we've also invested $2.5 million from sewer impact funds to repair and upgrade outdated parts and equipment at our plant. At our parks, we've done some upgrades as well. The Junior Giant softball field has been redone, and we are resurfacing the tennis and pickleball courts at Dunn Park. We've also purchased 3 new fire trucks. The other area we've been really focused on is community engagement. After the pandemic, we were all used to just meeting online, and we weren't doing a lot in the area of meetings and getting together. So we've really focused on listening and input sessions with the community around Lad Lane traffic calming, the downtown parklets, our inclusionary housing and RV ordinances. Also, I've created a council highlights after each meeting to just keep everybody informed.
Thank you, Mayor.
There's a lot more I can say, but I am out of time.
All right. Thank you for that. And then we'll move on to Mayor Jordan.
Hi, thank you very much. Welcome all. What an absolutely amazing crowd. Very happy to see some familiar faces and new faces as well. And for me, what an honor to sit with these 2 amazing powerhouses in our county. It's getting together on a monthly basis has been something that has not been done in a very long time, as I understand it, in our county, and it has been a pleasure serving with these women. I chose San Juan Bautista. I lived super far away. I came all the way from Prunedale, and chose San Juan about 10 years ago, and was doing a whole bunch of volunteer work, and decided the best way to volunteer was to sign up to be a council member. It's not something you actually sign up for, but I was voted in, and what an honor it is to serve San Juan Bautista. This is my 5th year as a council member. It is, I apologize for the correction, my 3rd year as mayor. We choose our mayor as a council, and I have had the extreme honor of being the mayor for 3 years now. We have an amazing city manager who has gotten us from citations from the Regional Water Quality Control Board and issues with our wastewater plant and our water system. And as a council and a city manager, we now have a pipeline, thank you very much to the city of Hollister, a pipeline that we are putting from San Juan Bautista to Hollister. We will eventually be getting water from San Benito County Water District and improve our water quality. Some other things as a council that we have done, and it's an amazing council. We have 3 new members, and we have 2 new members and 3 old members, although I was just recently elected again to serve, so I'm new and old. But it's an amazing council. We have passed and collaborated on so many things, and it's just nice to see us working together. I don't know what else I can tell you. I love San Juan. Again, I chose it. It didn't choose me, which is kind of weird for San Juan Bautista. If all of you know San Juan Bautista, mostly everybody was born there. So it's my pleasure to be a part of San Juan Bautista, and thank you all for coming.
Okay, on to the questions. The plan tonight is that we are eager to hear your questions. Julie and I will ask some questions of the panelists, and then we'll turn it over to the audience. So the format was, as soon as I swat this fly away, the format is that we'll ask a couple of questions of each panelist, and then turn it over to the folks in the audience. So I'll ask the first question. Again, we'll go in the order of introduction to Supervisor Sotelo. All right? So our number 1 question. California is mandating more housing all across the state. But it's a common complaint in San Benito County that our roads cannot handle any more traffic. What are the supervisors doing to address this problem?
Well, our roads are a real challenge, and I think that even though it may not feel like it, we really are trying to do everything that we possibly can. I feel like there is, it's been tough. It's been tough because it's been so bad. Then it's been tough because there's so much construction going on. And I think it's going to be tough for a little bit longer. Please be patient and work with us a little bit longer, but there is light at the end of this tunnel. For our kind of our main roads, 156 and 25, the turbo roundabout, it is going to be done next year. The 156 expansion is going to be well along its way, but I know it doesn't come without headaches, and I'm sorry to those of you that are stuck in that traffic. It's an inconvenience to all of us. For our local roads, the Board of Supervisors has invested over the next 5 years, $28 million investment into our local roads. And we have started to tackle some of those roads. Unfortunately, they're not our arterial roads, so I'm talking Fairview, Union. So a lot of people still feel like, oh my gosh, I don't see any of these improvements. We are making the improvements. We have, like I said, invested $28 million. Some of the funding is coming from Measure G, from Senate Bill 1, from our general fund. We are committed to working on these roads and to fixing them. Some of it is staffing. staffing. We need to hire more. We need to have a larger roads crew that can handle potholes. But we are getting the GIS so that people can go on and they can report where the pothole is so that we're more efficient. We're looking at streamlining the process. I understand the frustration. Please hang on with us. There is so much light at the end of the tunnel. I think a year from now, you're actually going to start to see some of the fruits from a lot of the labor that's been happening. But I understand the frustration right now. And yes, housing is a real concern. We are doing our housing element update as well right now. And so we're just trying to tackle things one day at a time and doing the best that we can, but we are committed to working and solving these problems.
Okay, thank you. Second question, alluding somewhat to your reference to the issue of hiring employees. The governmental agencies of the county and Hollister both have trouble retaining employees. What do you think the reason is for this, and what are possible solutions?
Is this
Just
question
stick to the
for me
county.
again?
Yeah, we'll stick to the county for you, Supervisor Sotelo.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought it wasn't going to be my turn again. So will you please repeat the question? I kind of tuned it out a little bit.
Would you like me to repeat the question?
Retaining our employees?
Yes. Is that an issue? Is it an issue? And if it's an issue, why is it an issue?
It is a huge issue. Huge issue. We don't have a lot of resources coming in. And so it is a huge issue for us. We've got our neighboring counties that obviously are a little more wealthy than us and are able to afford a little bit more, but it's not as simple as comparing apples to apples. We are very different. We, with our property taxes, we receive 11 cents to every dollar on our property taxes, and it's just not enough for all the things that we're mandated to provide, and so it is incredibly hard. It's made it increasingly hard. I'm gonna be really honest right here, and I really hope I don't offend anybody, but the city of Hollister is doing quite well. And so it's made it even harder. They're aggressively recruiting. And so we've lost several employees recently to the city of Hollister. And so we need to start thinking outside of the box. We need to start doing more. We need to bring in more revenue. And so I think the board recognizes that. We have some amazing employees, and so we want to keep them, and we want to attract new talent. And so it is a priority, but it is really, really tough. We've got neighboring communities that surround us that are a lot wealthier, and now most recently we have our city of Hollister that's a lot wealthier than us. So it's a challenge, but we're committed to working on it, and I think there's some things that it's beyond just the money, right? And so I know that we really are trying to show our appreciation as well and doing everything that we can, looking at wages, looking at benefits, looking at working conditions, working even sometimes just the appreciation. Supervisor Caro and I last week, we took a few of our departments some pastries and said, thank you so much, and we appreciate what you're doing. And so I think some of those things go a long way. So we're working on it, but it is very, very challenging. Sorry. Thank you.
The next two questions will be for you, Mayor Casey. The first is, some residents complain they were blindsided by the two Amazon projects because there was little information available to the public in planning stages. Should the city be involved in confidentiality agreements for commercial projects, effectively eliminating public involvement? And should planners approve projects without knowing the tenant?
Tough question. You know, when these things happened, I wasn't mayor, and I was actually on the other side making some very similar questions about, you know, what was going in and why weren't people being informed more, and where was our environmental studies that I felt were missing. So, yeah, I'm kind of mixed on that. I mean, I understand that NDAs happen. I understand that it is a practice. I'm not sure how good it is. You know, at the same time, it's like we are involved. We are not the developers. We are not, you know, private individuals are developing. So we're kind of in the mix because of planning, but we don't run the show. You know, they're deciding who to bring in. And so it's kind of a tough question, really. But I understand the concern. I had the concern. I was one of the few people that spoke at City Council many times over the giant distribution center going in out there. I think it's 1 million square feet. So, and I know that there's going to be a lot of traffic from it. So I had a lot of concerns, and I wish that it had been publicized more. It's one of the things that I focused a lot on is more community engagement, more town hall style meetings, just to share information. I just think it's so important, because how can you give us your concerns or share information with us about how you feel about things if you don't know? So that's, I think, all I can say about it at the moment.
Same spirit. How can the city help independent downtown businesses survive as the concentration of chain stores and restaurants continues to grow around Nash Road and Airline Highway?
We've actually done a few things to support the downtown. You know, I do have to say that, you know, when it comes to services, it's not one size fits all. I love the little mom and pop shops. I like our local businesses. But I've had a lot of residents say they're so happy to have more services, and that comes in the form of these bigger box stores. So I don't think one is exclusive of the other, and I do think that the city, you know, during the pandemic, we created the Parklet program, which saved a lot of businesses that would have closed their doors, and we gave grants out to pay for the parklets to be built. We've also, more recently, we had some PPE money that we created a low-interest loan program for businesses to either expand or start up. And that beautiful Baylor restaurant downtown is one of the recipients of that grant. So, you know, we are trying to do things. I know that the EDC has also been trying to do more workshops to support the local businesses. One of the things I found when I was working with my nonprofit, which was focused really on economic development, supporting our local businesses, is that when you have these small shops, they are wonderful at selling whatever it is that they're selling. They don't necessarily know about marketing. I found when we were doing our magazine that we were creating the ads and trying to help them with their messaging, because they can't afford to go hire a marketing department. They don't have legal services helping them. So when we can have the Economic Development Committee, the Chamber, and the Downtown Association all supporting them and doing workshops, I think that also helps them to thrive. So.
Your turn, Mayor Jordan. First question for you. Your city relies on a limited contract with a sheriff for law enforcement and contracts for patrols by a private security service whose role is to, quote, observe and report, unquote. Is that approach adequate to meet the public safety needs of the San Juan community?
Oh, that's a great question. Thank you for that. We have actually been in conversations with the sheriff department to hire another deputy to patrol the city. So we are moving from a security dedicated deputy to and a code enforcement officer to two dedicated San Benito County Sheriff Department deputies, and we have also, as a council, approved hiring 2 new positions for liaison for sheriff and fire and all of our services. So I think in the near future, we will be a little beefier in that area. So no, it's not an adequate plan. Has it been working so far? Sort of, yes. But we are moving forward with having 2 dedicated deputies soon, coming to a city near us soon.
Okay. Second question. San Juan Bautista has been accused by some of being unfriendly to business. Community members sometimes point to complaints about overly aggressive staff and or out-of-date business regulations. Do you think this is a valid complaint? And if so, what do you think is the reason for this?
I do think it's a valid complaint. We have lost several businesses. During COVID was absolutely amazing. We had a city council meeting every week to inform our business owners what the new regulations were, how we can help them, grants coming down the pike, what we can do to make them not only survive but to thrive. And I think we did an amazing job of that. In the most recent past, we have lost several businesses. One consolidated. It was a business owner who has 2 businesses in town. She consolidated both into one building, and then we lost a couple more. I think we have some challenges ahead of us on how to be more friendly to businesses. We are working with our planning department and our assistant city manager to revise some of our ordinances and make it more of a business-friendly community. We have issued permits on the fly, realizing a mistake and trying to correct those. So we are getting better. It will take a few seconds, but we are moving towards, and everybody on the council is aware of this, and City Hall is aware of it as well. So we're all trying to work together collaboratively to make it a kinder, gentler city.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, well, that's enough from Julie and me for the time being. We're here to hear questions from you folks. So she and I are going to split up one side to the other. If you have a question, just raise your hand and we'll come to you with a microphone. Please just keep in mind, looking for questions, not statements. All right, thank you.
Rob would be first. 3 minutes.
3 minutes to ask my question? No, I guess this is for Supervisor Sotelo. Given the constraints Prop 13 places on the county budget, sales taxes are the obvious answer. Can the county do more to increase retail sales activity?
Well, sure, we could, right? I mean, the sky's the limit, but it's going to, that's going to be a board decision what they want to do. And I think that there definitely needs to be some economic opportunities here. One, to bring in some additional sales tax revenue, and we need to create additional jobs for our residents. More than 60% of our population is commuting out every day. And so hopefully with we've been working really hard. We've had some joint planning commission, board of supervisors meetings. We're talking about opening up the general plan and making some amendments. And hopefully we can be real strategic and identify some areas. I think we also are, I sit on the committee for the Economic Development Advisory Committee that both San Juan Bautista is a part of and the city of Hollister, as well as our business council, the chamber, the Economic Development Corporation. And we really are looking at what are our current ordinances, what are our policies, what are things that we can all do kind of collectively together. Are we business friendly? And after reviewing things recently, we're not super business friendly. I think there's a lot more that we can be doing. And so I think there's a lot of opportunities there. And so we're gonna have to start doing something because the county really is in dire straits. I mean, I know it's frustrating, the roads, and I know, but if we don't have resources coming in, we are so limited with what we can do. Our discretionary funding is less than 10% of our budget, and that's money that we can decide what to do with. And so we've got to do something. We've got to do something. And so that's going to be a board decision, right? But we are doing everything that we possibly can and looking at, like I said, are we business friendly? What ordinances do we have in place? And even getting models from other counties, what's working for them? How are they able to develop these tourism, maybe industries or different things like that? We've got to start looking outside of the box. And I think we are as a committee, and I think as a board, we recognize the importance of additional revenue needed.
Okay, I think we have a question over here. Sir, did you have a question?
Oh, thank you, yes.
Yeah. Here, let me put the mic in.
Oh. I'm Barry Katz. I'm from Aromas, the San Benito side of Aromas. My question concerns the landfill expansion, which is strangely never talked about. It's just, amazing how one would think that nobody supports it because no one talks about it. But let me get to my question. Was really thrown, the whole group, everyone at the meeting, the Planning Commission meeting Monday was thrown a major curveball by Waste Solutions in their presentation. So what happened was they made a change to the first two alternatives from 1,700 tons per day maximum to 2,300 tons per day, yet they're still calling that alternative one. And the same with alternative, I don't know the numbers, but the 1,000-ton maximum, also up to 2,300 tons. That was quite the last-minute curveball. I wondered if, the question is, are you aware of it? Does that seem right to you? And let me just say that all of the studies were done based on these numbers. The traffic, all the impact studies were done on these numbers. So I don't really see how you could go forward making this change with the alternatives without bringing it back to the comment period. What do you think?
So I'll start with, I think we are trying to be very careful as a county. I don't think there's any hidden conversations happening. I don't think, I think we really are trying to be as open with the public, and I think we're trying to have as many conversations as possible. Our planning commissioners and all of the planning staff had 3 public hearings. This conversation has been happening since 2019. So I just want people to understand that this isn't something that has happened overnight. I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about on the numbers. However, I do know that there were multiple scenarios and different tonnages and maximum kind of weight or maximum everyday loads. And so I think that there's a lot of challenges and things that we need to look at with the landfill. There's also some opportunities. And so I think that nobody has made a decision. And I think that we're being very, very careful. We are listening to the community. And while you say people aren't talking about it, I promise you, we are getting tons of emails. We are getting a lot of public comments. So we do hear the community. We are hearing from both sides. And so I think it's just important that we weigh all of the facts and make sure that we're paying attention to the facts. We're looking at the science. We're looking at what the community wants. We're looking at all of the pros and cons. And so I'm sorry, I'm probably not giving you the exact answer that you want, but I'm not 100% comfortable giving you kind of going more than that or taking a position on it because it is still very much being deliberated and very much being talked about. But I do think that we have really gone above and beyond. When we gave the public notice for all of the public meetings, they sent out over 1,000 public notices to individuals in kind of that area or people that had been interested. And so I do think the county is doing a really good job, and I think they really are looking out for the best interests of the public, and we are trying to be very inclusive.
Sorry. I have to say that I'm not aware of the latest changes that just you were talking about. I haven't heard about that yet. I have been trying to follow the planning meetings. I've managed to watch a few of them, but I have had a lot of conflict meetings. I just have to say that I've been really impressed with the Planning Commission. I know that people feel sometimes they're not heard, but what I'm seeing is, the first meeting they had, they decided to break it out and put it over 3 nights because it's such a big issue and there's so many moving parts, to split it up and allow people to be able to digest in parts. And now, rather than just making a snap decision, they're waiting until early next year. So it seems like they're taking it seriously. They're listening to people. They're trying to gather as much info as possible. But I can't speak to the tonnage changes because I haven't heard that yet. So that's all I can say about it.
Should we take another question on this side? This is where I have a hand, so we'll do this. So would you mind standing up and identifying yourself? I'll hold this for you.
Okay. Oh, can I speak?
Sure.
Sorry. Hi, I'm Bridget Bowman-Thorpe. I'm from Tone Dump on San Benito, and I just want to let everybody aware that next year, January 31st, your Planning Commission will make the vote on the landfill that we're all will be detrimental to us. I just wanted everybody to know this is a 483-acre landfill expansion, which will be bigger than the Newbie Island in San Jose.
I just want to remind folks, we're taking questions as opposed to statements, so if you have a question, please ask it.
My question is, do you know that Waste Connection is recommending that the haul route will be Highway 25? It means all the trash trucks will go on our Highway 25 right to the city, to Best Road, to the landfill and back probably. And this could be happening for the next 50 years.
Is it a question? Is it for me?
Yeah.
Yes? So yes, I do know that's one of the routes that they are looking at. I think there's 3 different routes that they're looking at. So again, no decision has been made. I think the rationale with that decision is that it stays on state roads, it stays on Highway 25, and there is less liability and maintenance really for the county in moving forward. And I think that's kind of the rationale with that. Best Road was recently done, and it was done so that it could handle that truck traffic. So that's why that's one of the routes that's being looked at. But there has been no decision made on the route yet.
Okay, next question.
I need to identify myself, right? Stand up. Please say no. Chang So, owner-operator of Hollister Super Windmill Market. This message is for Mayor Jordan. I am a big supporter of small business. Hometown businesses, I love that. You know, we are one of those people. But is the idea of franchisees, when they make sense, good for the city of San Juan Bautista, mainly from the viewpoint that many of the people who are visiting our lovely town, a lot of the businesses are always closed or they have irregular hours. And that's very difficult for visitors to come into our city and visit it on a regular basis.
Absolutely, I agree with that last statement 100%. And that's been one of our challenges. As far as franchises go, we have had conversations with folks who want to come in and put in a new pizza place. And how do you do that when you have 2 small pizza places already? Or a Starbucks when we have Vertigo. And the Windmill, who I go to almost on a daily basis for my coffee. I guess it would depend on who wanted to come in and what it looked like. We have an opportunity for a hotel. Leal was just sold. So, there's lots of opportunities out on the horizon, but we want to make sure that we're not competing with the businesses, the small mom and pops, the diamond in the rough, if you will, for our existing businesses. So we are looking at all of those right now. We've talked about them for the past 2 city council meetings, I believe, on franchises and revamping our ordinances. But again, we want to make sure that we keep San Juan special. But knowing full well that we do have some merchants that choose to show up when they want to show up, which is a detriment to our community. We need our business, our property owners, our building owners to start working with us and choosing the correct fit for the city and not just having somebody come in because they need rent to be made. So lots of discussions that still need to be had throughout the city on council level and with our building owners. I think it's about time that the city start having serious conversations with our building owners. Thank you for that question.
Okay, I think we have another question over here next to the gentleman whose phone just went off. If I can ask you, if you don't mind stating your name and the question, the person to whom you're directing the question.
Good evening, I'm Linda Lampe, and may I digress for just a moment? And I know we're not supposed to make comments, but I would truly like to thank BenitoLink for not only this meeting, but the listening sessions they're doing in the community and bringing us together. Thank you. And not to sound too old age and hippie, but I would also like to think there's a new day dawning in San Benito County and the city of Hollister with our new elected officials. Now, having said that, a couple of things. Not only are we the directors of a small business downtown, we're also a nonprofit. We're seeing businesses grow with the parklets. I believe that some really great numbers were put out with that, with the businesses that are benefiting. But however, on the side streets, we're suffering because it's taking up a lot of parking, and people are parking in front of our little businesses, and we cater to a lot of senior citizens, and if people come by our store, they're going to drive right on by. So another thing is signage and outdoor sales. We'd like to think that we're creating a nice little vibe in the community to get more walkability, but unfortunately, then we come along and say, hey, you're going to be fined if you put out a sign, if you do a sidewalk sale, but there's a parklet right down the street that's taking up 5 parking spaces.
So it sounds like this is a question for Mayor Casey. Can you state your question, please?
Thank you. So is there something we can do to make downtown and the merchants to have more access and be open to new techniques that are actually kind of old in doing sidewalk sales and things of that nature, and helping us to grow and to support? We're a total nonprofit. Every penny we make at that store goes back into this community, and we serve a lot of people, and we need your help. Thank you.
Mayor, would you like to speak to that? Thank you.
Sure. So first of all, I love your store, I have to say. I like to come and see you guys, and you do good work in the community, so thank you for everything you do. I have to say, we did just have our first meeting with the folks downtown, and I think there were between 40 and 50 folks that came in. We were talking primarily about the parklets and some of the issues around them, and how we're moving forward, because initially those were meant to be temporary for the pandemic, but they have revitalized our downtown. We get a lot more people spending time eating outdoors and staying. But I understand your question and concern. I think we're going to be having several more meetings, and I think that's something that you should bring to the meeting and talk about, because they want to talk about ways to make it a more thriving downtown, and you're a part of that as well. I do know we have, because of the parklets and because of the way the parking has been done, we've lost some spaces. And I've been talking with the city manager about some of the empty lots downtown that are for sale, and what's the potential of creating some more parking. So we're talking about it and we're trying to figure out. But it's your point is well taken. But I do think we're having conversations. We want to continue those conversations. We want to support all the businesses downtown, not just the ones with parklets. So I would encourage you to come to those and voice your concerns. And we just created, I think we approved last night, the signage, how the signage will happen at the parklets, and talking about how to apply for A-frames, what the rules are. And so we're trying to have more communication. So I would encourage you guys to come to those meetings. There'll be more. Thank you.
Okay, we have one more question here.
Ruth Erickson, and I have a couple of questions, actually. We were promised some years ago a Lowe's, and of course we didn't get it because they moved us to Salinas. So now we've been promised Denny's and Panera and other businesses. We don't see them. Are they coming? Are they still, in being talked? Is anybody talking to them still? We still have that whole area that nobody's building on, and we've been waiting for certain things to happen. The other thing was, on the roads, talking about COG, I called COG and the county at various times, and I've never seen any changes. Fraser Lake Road, if you look at the entrance on both ends, one sign will say Fraser, I-E-R, and one sign will say E-R. Now, this is on both ends. Now, we should get it corrected. I mean, it just looks so ridiculous that we can't spell our own city streets. So that's the questions, 2 questions.
So I'll go ahead and tackle the roads, and if
I'll
you don't
take
mind
care of
tackling
the
okay.
other part.
So I've never noticed that before, but I'm going to look for that. I'm going to guess because one side of Fraser Lake is in San Benito County and the other side is in Santa Clara County, is my guess, maybe why that has happened. I don't know. Either way, it's not great, but we'll fix it. Maybe San Benito, we can match Santa Clara's side. I don't know. And I will say there are a lot of improvements with the roads. I know it doesn't feel like it. I promise, please give us a year. Give us 5 years on local roads, right? Give us a year on the 156 and the roundabout, and I think there's going to be tremendous improvement. But on the local roads, we really are making an investment. And there's definitely things that have been done. The Measure G Oversight Committee reviews all of the work that's been done every year. They're in the process right now of reviewing everything that has happened over the last year, and then we'll get to see all of kind of their action report and all that was done. But there has been some repavement, like on Southside Road. There has been some work down in South County. The challenge is a lot of the work has been done in real rural areas. And so for a lot of the people that are in the city and you're traveling on like our Fairview and Union and Shore and Fraser Lake, those roads have yet to be done. But Shore Road is on the calendar. It is supposed to be done. They were supposed to start it in October. We actually are kind of asking, hey, let's be kind of careful of that because of all of the challenges with the roundabout right now and the traffic and 156 with the Union Light closure that's going to be happening sometime after Thanksgiving. And so we don't want to impact any more of arterial roads right now, but over the next 5 years, I think in 5 years, we're going to be sitting here and you guys are going to be saying, oh my gosh, this feels like a different county because there's going to be so much work that has been completed. I think it's just we're in this really hard time right now where you're not seeing everything, but we are working really, really hard on it. And I will check into Fraser Lake Road.
Okay. Sure, I can answer that. But I do want to say we do have our COG director here tonight. So I think you'll be hearing more about what's happening from her in a little bit at one of the next panels. As far as the new shopping center and businesses that, are supposed to be coming, I had heard about Lowe's. That was a few years ago. And I'm not sure, we don't have control over whether a business actually comes. They talk about coming. Sometimes they try to make their deals and then they change their mind. I'm not sure. And the moratorium, that's right. When Lowe's was coming in, there was, issues with the moratorium. I can tell you that Panera is coming. They did apply, and so they are in the process now. Wendy's is also coming into that center. Denny's is supposed to come. However, they have not put their application in yet. So we have no control over when and how that will happen, and we're hoping it will, but they are supposed to be coming as well.
I was wondering what our county is doing as far as marketing.
So we just recently, not enough.
The
Enough is
reason I
my
say
first
that is 'cause
response,
we
okay?
have-
But I think we are aware of it, and I think we did just recently have this economic development kind of strategic plan meeting that we are starting to identify those areas of things that we need to work on, and we recognize that tourism and wineries and a lot of the wonderful agritourism things that we have here. So we are not doing enough right now, but we recognize it, and we're working on a plan to kind of move forward and see what we can do for here.
Question over here. All right, who is your question for?
I think all of them, actually, if I could.
All right.
Hi, my name's Maureen. So my question is, when we start talking about jobs that are coming, isn't it great? Panera, isn't it wonderful? Wendy's, hey, they're $15 to $19 an hour jobs. How do people working those jobs buy houses in our community? How do people working those jobs do extra activities for their children in our community? Our community is not getting the resources they need because the people are leaving our county to work outside to make the money to afford to live here. So they're spending their money outside of our county. They're traveling outside and they're putting wear and tear upon our infrastructure. So thank you. Thank you for bringing in Wendy's and Panera. But again, how do we get jobs here and create incentive to bring in business that will pay for our economy going forward?
Thank you.
So I can start that if you'd like, since we talked about Wendy's. I think that's more about services being offered, but we are actually working very hard at the airport to bring more industry in. We've been focusing on aeronautical. We've got some wonderful businesses there. It's being developed. There are hangars being developed. We're trying to lure more air and also manufacturing and industry. Those are the kinds of jobs that pay, and we have been working hard on the business park out there. It takes time, and it isn't going to happen overnight, but I have had several meetings with, we have Zero Avia, which is out there, and they're converting planes to hydrogen fuel. It's pretty exciting, some of the businesses that are there, and some that I've heard are coming. So I think it's going to take a little time, but we are working on it. We just are about to hire an economic development director, an actual employee that will be focused on economic development and working with the EDC and the county. And, you know, we're trying to get things going, but it is difficult. We are not, we're kind of off the beaten path, being 12 miles off of the freeway. You know, we're kind of isolated, and we have been an ag community. It's changing, and we're hoping to bring more good-paying jobs here, but it does take some time. But I see some movement, and I'm hopeful that we're going to continue to bring more. Sarah, do you want to add?
Yeah, no, I agree 100% with the mayor, and I think that we are working on it, and you can see kind of the collaborative approach that we are trying to tackle this. And so we recognize Wendy's isn't solving our employment issues, right? And I understand the strain that it's causing on these poor families that are having to commute out and are not making it back until 7, 8 p.m. and they're not able to coach their kids' little league teams or participate in public things like this that are so crucial to us being a thriving, healthy community. And so I think we need to look at that kind of larger economic development. We're not looking at these little tiny things, but kind of bigger. And so how do we want to grow? What kind of businesses do we want to attract? And I think those are some of the questions that we're starting to ask and that we're working kind of together on. And I think there's a lot of opportunity with our kind of the proximity that we are to the Salinas Valley and Silicon Valley for maybe some ag tech here that could really support an industry that is so incredibly important to this community. We are unique and we are so special. And so we want to preserve that. But at the same time, we know we have to grow and we have to have supporting businesses that have high paying jobs. We need kind of everything in between. I think our high school is doing a great job and kind of starting to do some of the, what is CTE? What's that stand for? I'm having a
education. Career technical.
Yes, the career technical education. Our high school is doing a wonderful job in starting to bring in some of those different things. So I think working collectively as a community, we can tackle this. It's just going to be all of us working together, right? And so I think that you'll start to see some wonderful things. I think people are excited about the kind of the political environment that we have right now and the relationships that we've got. That I think we have people coming to us all the time and, hey, we're looking at, possibly expanding. I had somebody over the weekend that's looking at expanding their business here. Currently, they're in somewhere in Santa Clara County. And so I think there's a lot of opportunity here. We just have to make sure as a community it's the right fit, right? And so that's it on my end.
But wow, what a great opportunity for our youth to have a new opportunity. Not that it's going to solve all of our problems. I still have a kid living with me. And it is. We might or might not be. That is so not funny. But it's one more opportunity for our youth to get out there. And as Supervisor Sotelo alluded to, our high schools are working more with the college, and the college, Gavilan College, is working more with our high school, bringing in opportunities in water, in HVAC, in aerotechnology, to bring those into the high school so that there's dual enrollment and there's more opportunities for our youth to grow before they actually get to a 2-year or a 4-year college. So there are lots of things that are happening, and it might not seem like it's soon enough, but we all are working towards that end.
She's telling me to step forward because I think I brought too big a lens. My name is Mitch Hammond. Live out in Panoche Road. So I guess it's to Mindy. You would support the Panoche, South County area. So went to grammar school out there. I remember in '71 they replaced about 6 miles of road, and I remember in '76 we got a tar and gravel through Panoche Valley. And I remember in '98 after the 100-year storm, Granite Rock did a lot of repairs to the damage and a lot of repairs to the road from their heavy equipment going over it. And there really hasn't been anything since then. So, my question is that during your tenure here as a council member, what have you done to represent Panoche and Panoche Road?
So I've only been here since January, not too long. However, I will tell you, I think you're going to be really proud of this. I actually went all the way on a roads tour recently with some of our public works, all the way out to the New Iger mine, all through Panoche. And so, yes, it's a problem. It's bad. And there are a lot of projects right now that are coming down. They're coming your way. And well, I'm hoping, Supervisor Curro, you have her full attention, and she haven't, so for the last 15 years, I was with the Farm Bureau before I was here, and I've worked with all of the supervisors. I will tell you, you have a supervisor right now representing your district that cares tremendously and is so committed to serving you that I haven't seen anything like it. And so she is fighting for you guys every single meeting, and she is not forgetting about you. She leisurely drives down there quite often. But I did go down there a couple weeks ago, and I will tell you the conditions were so horrible, I actually did get sick on my way home. So they were so bad, they physically made me sick. But it is a problem, and we do need to do something. We are working on it. We are so short-staffed in our roads department, but we are working on it. We actually allocated 4 new positions. It's not nearly enough, but it's all that we can do at this moment. And this is why it's so crucial that we increase the revenue coming in so that we are able to fully staff. At one time, I think there was 25, 30 public roads workers, and now we're down to less than 10, 5, from 25 to 5. It's horrible. So it's a challenge, but we are aware of it, and we are going to be working on that. And you do have some of the $28 million that we've set aside to work on for these roads over the next 5 years. There is good portions of the Panoche area. So
it looks like we have another question over here, if I can make my way in that direction. Who's your question for?
My question is for Mia. My name's Annette. I live in the county. And I heard about something called the sphere of influence. And I wanted to know if you could explain to me what that is and how that'll affect me living in the county. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, we did have some discussion last night about it in our general plan. We are doing some expansion of the sphere of influence. The sphere is actually, it identifies areas that are adjacent to the city typically, although I will say that in Hollister, for some reason, the sphere of influence is actually just pulled back at the city limits for the most part. So we don't really truly have a sphere of influence, but it's meant to be an area for possible future annexations, areas that are being developed. And I think, Annette, you live in the Santana Ranch area, if I remember correctly, and that is a master plan community. There are, 1,100, 1,200 homes that are being built along there. you all are part of Hollister. You really should be annexed in. You don't get to vote. You don't get to have a say. I feel like you guys are disenfranchised. So for me, in the future, I'd like to see, your community be annexed in. And that's what a sphere of influence kind of identifies areas that may be annexed in the future. And it also provides the city with a bit more say in what happens in the county and working more closely with the county to make sure that development's happening in specific areas, not just here and there. And that's something that Mindy and I have talked about, and Supervisor Crow as well, just working together so that it makes sense for the city of Hollister where building is going on in the county. And also, if it's going to be annexed into the city, it kind of has to follow our planning and how we build. They're slightly different, sometimes, and I don't mean this as an offense at all, but typically in the county, building is a little more lax than in the city. So this way we can make sure the building standards are, going to work for the city if we end up annexing you in. So I guess that kind of covers it, I hope.
Okay, we have time for about 2 more questions. I'm going to ask one from the audience, and then you get the next one. I think this one would also be for you, Mayor Casey. Many communities benefit from an inventory tax at large distribution warehouses. Is this such a tax for the 2 Amazon warehouses here?
Inventory tax. I'm sorry, but that's a new one on me. I know that my understanding is with distribution centers, and there's a lot of talk in the state about when you have one located within your community, you get a larger percentage of sales tax, a larger portion. That's been a hotly contested thing because areas like Mountain View or other cities where people are actually doing a lot of the ordering, they're landlocked. They don't have room for a big distribution center. So they're saying, our people are doing the buying, we should be getting the lion's share of the sales tax. And so there's a big debate going on in the state about it, but I believe that you do get something additional from it coming from our centers here that are being built. But I'd have to look into the inventory tax. I haven't heard that term before.
Another question.
My question is for Mayor Casey.
Well,
sorry. And I'm going to apologize for this question before I ask because I think it's contentious.
Uh-oh.
So I wanted to know what the status is and what considerations there are regarding the college and the city sewer hookup.
When you say consideration.
Well, what factors are,
Okay.
I'm sorry, what factors are being considered for it to be approved or disapproved?
It has been approved. I shouldn't say it's been approved. The city has agreed to honor the commitments that were made by years ago by previous council, by our city manager who gave a will serve letter. There's been a couple of developments. The Gavilan is part of something called Fairview Corners, I think. And that was approved something like back in 2012, I think. And so there were commitments made a long time ago to provide sewer service. And so it kind of has put us in a bit of an awkward position because those commitments were made, we needed to honor them. But there are concerns and issues around outside sewer service, and that's something that LAFCO will have to make a decision on. So what the city has agreed to work with Sunny Slope Water and Sewer to provide service, but they have to go through LAFCO for approval. So that's like the next step. But we honored the commitments that were made long ago, because if we did not, we would be opened up for legal issues. And so that's a piece that I know people don't like to hear about, but that's happened to us. We're bound by previous commitments. I don't want to open us up for liability. So we have to honor those commitments. And everyone wants Gavilan College to be built. It's going to be so important for our community. So that's where it stands right now. I would think we were talking about the agreement with Sunny Slope Water last night. The next step will be for them to prepare whatever they're going to prepare and submit it as an application to LAFCO, who will consider the outside sewer connection.
okay, question here.
I have a question?
Here, we'll use the microphone. It's easier that way. Yeah,
Okay, well, everybody knows me, I'm loud.
Who's your question for?
My question's for all three. How did we get so lucky to get you three educated women on there?
Thank you very much.
I think it's what's known as a rhetorical question, so we'll just go on to the next one. Yeah.
I would say we're all a little bit crazy.
Right?
I think I agree.
Who was your question for?
Thank you.
For whoever it's appropriate for. My name is Tom Walerius, and I'd like an update on status Vertus, and I'd like to know what your positions are on that development.
Sorry, what was that?
Strata Verde.
Oh,
What's
Strata
the-
Verde, okay.
Where is it? So I will just tell you, there's nothing really to report with it. There's no, it's not moving. I mean, there's no movement forward at all. I mean, it's gone, it's at a complete standstill. And so I don't think there's anything happening with it. It's at a complete stall. There's nothing happening. And so I think it's really challenging because as you go around in the community, there's all these signs up and there's a lot of, it seems like kind of information that's being thrown at you, but there's nothing happening with it. And we really don't know if that's forever or if it's temporary. But right now there's no action at all going forward.
When the weeds get cut, we can have that conversation.
So I can't even tell you if I'm in favor or not because I don't even know what the project is at this moment. It's all very hypothetical.
Yeah, it's interesting because projects do change, and I've seen already, we've seen the first iteration of it, and they've made some changes, and my understanding is I think they're rethinking right now, and they've had some EIR concerns that they're looking at, so I think everything is kind of on hold. What you're seeing, all of the, I think it's called Stop Strata Verde, there's been a massive campaign against it, and I'm curious myself as to why when there's nothing happening there. I mean, I would estimate, I used to work in marketing, and it's been well over $100,000 spent on a media campaign, 6 mailers, all kinds of radio ads. Why? You have to ask that question, where is that money coming from and why? So you can't just ask the question about Strata Verde and who Strata Verde is. You have to ask who stopped Strata Verde and why. You got to look at all the different sides. There's a lot of people involved. So, but yeah.
We've got a couple more questions up here.
I think we're going to take 2 more questions. We've got a lot of great questions tonight, but we want to continue forward with our other panels we have scheduled, so we'll do 2 more for this panel.
My name's Dave Wright, and this question is for Mindy. Could you give us an update on what is happening with the library expansion?
Well, we're working very hard on the library expansion. Due to the fire that we had in our county buildings, it's been a little bit of a challenge, but we are working really hard to continue moving forward. We're working right now to move people out, find different locations. We've got to relocate all of the library staff. We've got to relocate the library temporarily as they do this expansion. We've got to relocate all of the county Office of Education. And so there is a lot of work happening behind the scenes. One of the comments that was made at the Board of Supervisors meeting today was possibly looking at an extension of 18 months to 2 years, which is, I think some supervisors expressed some real concern about that and said, absolutely do not delay this. We need to make this happen. And so we're doing everything we possibly can. They're in, I believe they're working with the architect right now. I believe county staff is, and I believe there's 2 people from the Friends of the Library that are working on kind of that design and coming up with it. So hopefully we'll have maybe a conceptual design to share very soon, but it is in the works. Sorry, I feel like that's been my answer tonight to everything. Everything is in the works. Can we check in maybe a year or 2 and see how accurate that statement is?
Okay, were there any other questions on this side?
Hi, my name is Maureen Waters. I just have a question I believe is probably for Mindy. How many employees actually work at the Hollister Enforcement Code?
Code enforcement?
Yeah, Hollister Enforcement. Code
One.
enforcement, yes, I'm
One.
sorry. Yeah, 1, okay.
We have 1
No
code
wonder.
enforcement. Yeah. And they are serving the entire county.
It isn't enough.
I know. I will tell you, on a positive note, this board has been, we are very supportive about code enforcement and starting to really enforce a lot of the different kind of ordinances that are out there. I think for a long time we had all of these ordinances, but we had no enforcement. And so I think this board has been pretty aggressive in our enforcement approach and really giving them the authority. The next step is, you're right, we need more. I mean, she does an amazing job, but there's just too much to do because it's everything from weed abatement issues to construction. I mean, and everything in between. And so you're right, it's way too little.
Thank you. All right, thanks so much. We got some really great questions from the audience tonight. Just in the interest of time, we're going to move forward. We did invite the panelists, if they want to give just a short statement, summary, loose ends, whatever you want to address. Just take a minute or two if you wouldn't mind before we move on. So let's start in the original order with Supervisor Sotelo, please.
So I'm going to take this opportunity to kind of go over a few as quickly as I can. I want to start with some of the challenges. And so coming on board, we were hit immediately with devastating floods. We had a fire in one of our buildings. Resources and revenue is a real problem. It's a real challenge. Our facilities, retaining, employee retention is incredibly hard. And I will tell you, another challenge has been really the misinformation that has been out there. And so those are some of the challenges that we have faced this year. Now, the successes. We have had so many successes, and I'm really big on highlighting our successes. I'm going to share one with you that doesn't seem probably very big to you all, but it was something really special and wonderful to me. And in light of it being Veterans Day very soon, and this kind of being Veterans Week, if you drive by the county administration building right now, we have green lights out in front of our administration building, and that is honoring all of our veterans. And so I think those small things that we're doing make a big difference in this community and supporting our community. So that was something that just came up last night, and I'm so incredibly proud. I am a wife of a Marine Corps veteran, and so that kind of warms my heart. We are doing small things, and we're doing really big things too. So a huge success, the collaboration, and it is happening at all levels. We are talking, and that hasn't happened in quite some time. The hospital, we're working together to try to find a solution. Already? Okay, our flood response, it was a challenge, but it also was a huge success for us. We purchased RVs, we got these displaced people, we gave them a temporary residence. It wasn't the cure-all, but we were the only county in the entire state that went out on a limb and did something like that for our residents. We also got the Pacheco Stormwater District back up and reinstated. We've given them a loan to fix the levees and clean up all the storm debris. We've invested $2 million to public safety for our sheriffs. I need at least 5 more minutes. Come on. 2 minutes is nothing.
We'll pick it up at the next town hall if we can. Thanks. Mayor Casey.
I'll make up by only taking a minute. So for me, I tend to look at things from like 10,000 feet and look at all the parts and how they fit together. And that's why I've enjoyed so much working with these ladies and collaborating across the board. It's something that, Mayor Jordan's right. It hasn't happened in a very long time. And it isn't just us three. I think there are a lot of really committed officials out there. I know that there is a tendency out there to want to, you're the bad guys now because you're elected, but we really are all committed and we are working together. And we've got some really big challenges, as Supervisor Sotelo said. For me, the biggest thing I see is that we haven't done a lot of strategic planning, like for decades, and it's kind of crucial. And I don't know if it was out of a desire to not change our community. We do have a wonderful community, or just wanting to bury your head in the sand or kick the can down the road. But we've got some serious issues, and we really are trying to work towards solutions. I think we have to be very proactive and plan for the future. You can't just wait till the situation is so dire that you have to do something. And so I see us doing that. I think we're making progress in Hollister, but I think we're also trying to work all together, because that's what it takes, is working together. And, we can play the blame game, or we can just put that aside and work together and stop all the division. And I see that happening, and I'm really excited about it. So thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Jordan.
I'm going to go in between both of you on time. Collaboration, it is huge for our tiny city to be able to collaborate with these, once again, amazing women and their respective boards and councils. San Juan Bautista and Hollister, we now get to send our wastewater to Hollister, and that's huge for our city. And water from San Benito County Water District. The county, we share their sheriff's department for the city of Hollister. We get to use their fire department, and we have an amazing house, the Coop in San Juan Bautista. The mission, we have a great relationship with the mission now. They were just awarded a $1.5 million grant for Saving America's Treasure. And I got to tell you, the San Juan Bautista mission is a huge treasure. Congresswoman Zoe Lofgren, who I'm guessing is not here today, was instrumental in helping us push that forward. It's an amazing, we get 100,000 tourists in just for the mission. 40,000 of those are fourth graders. How amazing is that from all over the state? Another collaboration is the Arts Council and Caltrans. We have two beautiful artists that came up from LA and did a remote bridge in San Juan that goes to a dead-end street, but the mural is phenomenal. We're working with the Arts Council and the Teatro Capucino, Luna Gap.
Thank you.